Welcome back to watching WION World is One with me, Raisha Sehgal. There's lots lined up on the show, and this is Speed News. We're getting the latest from all across the globe. Let's get you started. The United Nations World Food Programme on Wednesday suspended the movement of its employees across the Gaza Strip after one of its vehicles came under fire. The agency said that one of its vehicles, which was clearly marked, was hit with at least 10 bullets as it approached a military checkpoint. Although no injuries or casualties were reported, the UN said that this was the first time its vehicle was directly shot at despite having all the required security clearances. Responding to the accusations, the Israeli military issued a statement saying that the incident was under review and added that it was committed to improving security for humanitarian groups to supply aid in Gaza. Hundreds of Israeli troops on Wednesday stormed the cities of Jenin and Tulkaram, killing at least 10 Palestinians. The operation was backed by helicopters, drones and armored personnel carriers. The UN Human Rights has condemned the Israeli security operations in West Bank. On the other hand, Israeli military recovered the body of a soldier abducted by Gaza militants during the October 7th attack. The IDF said that the rescue operation took place overnight without disclosing the identity of the deceased soldier. Israeli Prime Minister's office has refuted a news report about Israeli Transportation Minister Miri Regev being privately bashed by Netanyahu. The PMO denied the reports that Netanyahu was unhappy with Minister Miri Regev's refusal, and that is to compromise regarding the October 7th anniversary memorial. The unsourced report had quoted Netanyahu saying, "I have no control over her," in a closed-door meeting. The statement issued by Prime Minister's office said that Netanyahu did not say the words attributed to him. The statement went on to clarify that Prime Minister rather appreciates the work of the Transportation Minister. Reports have emerged suggesting Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu had considered the option of holding a cabinet meeting on the Philadelphia corridor, which separates Gaza Strip from Egypt, but that suggestion was turned down by his own security chief. The report, sourcing unnamed Netanyahu associates, said that Netanyahu had asked Shin Bet chief Ronan Bar if the ministers could travel to the corridor in armed personnel carriers with the objective of showing them the place in order to back his demand. This demand, however, was turned down by Bar given the enormous security arrangements that would be required to secure the event in an active war zone. Russia and Ukraine have traded blame for endangering the safety of nuclear power plants during the course of the war. A senior UN official has raised concerns over incidents around Ukraine's Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant and Russia's Kursk. In the latest, Russia claims its sappers have defused a shell from a US-supplied HIMARS just 5 kilometers from the Kursk region. It claims to have found a rocket fragment stuffed with 180 unexploded munitions. However, there has been no immediate comment from Ukraine on the purported Russian claim. Russia said it wants the International Atomic Energy Agency to take a more objective and clearer stance on nuclear safety. This comes a day after the agency's head visited the nuclear plant, warning of serious consequences. The nuclear power plant lies some 60 kilometers from the Russia-Ukraine border, which is next to the Same River and less than 50 kilometers away from the Kursk city. Russia has repeatedly sounded the alarm over a possible hit since Ukrainian troops and tanks charged into Kursk. France has charged Telegram founder Pavel Durov with a litany of violations related to the messaging app and also banned him from leaving the country. While allowing the billionaire to walk free after 4 days under arrest, a French judge put Pavel Durov under formal probe, granting conditional release against a bail of €5 million and on the condition that he must report to police station twice a week, and he also has to remain in France. Meanwhile, amid this row, the United Arab Emirates has reportedly suspended the deal with France for the supply of 80 Rafale fighter jets. UAE has been closely monitoring and watching the case of Pavel Durov, who is an Emirati citizen. India is likely to commission its second nuclear submarine, INS Arighat, today. Reports say that the submarine will be commissioned in front of the top leaders and defense officials. INS Arighat is the second Arihant-class indigenous nuclear submarine. The 6,000-ton submarine is reportedly 10 meters long with a 11-meter wide beam. The submarine can reportedly remain submerged for about 50 days without surfacing and can be equipped with K-15 missiles with a range of 750 kilometers. Arighat has a top speed of 24 knots when submerged. Once commissioned, Arighat will be joining its predecessor, INS Arihant. The West Bengal cabinet has approved a proposal to introduce a new bill that seeks to prevent rape and ensure harsher punishments. The bill is scheduled to be presented in the State Assembly next week. This comes as Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee said that she will launch a movement to seek capital punishment for the accused in the case. Banerjee, who is facing calls to resign by the demonstrators, also said that she will amend state laws to fix death by hanging for the perpetrators of rape. She also urged the demonstrating junior doctors to return to work and further promised that no action will be taken against them. However, the junior doctors say that they will not withdraw the agitation unless all the demands are met. The rape and murder case in Kolkata has turned into a political scuffle between the ruling Trinamool Congress and the opposition Bharatiya Janata Party. As they continue to fire barbs at each other, the BJP observed a 12-hour Bengal Bandh in the state to protest police action against demonstrators on Tuesday. The Bengal Bandh affected daily life across the state. BJP workers tried stopping rail and bus services, leading to police action. According to police, 64 people were arrested during the Bandh and a few leaders were also detained. TMC workers organized a counter-protest at several places to oppose the Bandh called by the BJP. The Indian Medical Association has suspended the membership of former principal of R.J. Carr Medical College and Hospital, Sandeep Ghosh. This as the CBI continued its probe on the former principal for financial irregularities. Sandeep Ghosh has been accused of negligence in the matter, including failing to file a police complaint when the doctor's body was found. Meanwhile, CBI continues its investigation and will now seek the opinion of medical experts from AIIMS Delhi to assess if the main suspect, Sanjoy Roy, was the only one involved in the crime. Roy is currently under judicial custody. Bangladesh's interim government has revoked a ban on the right-wing Jamaat Islami. This comes less than a month after it was outlawed by former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina under the anti-terrorism law, accusing its members of fomenting unrest during the student uprising. Bangladesh Ministry of Home Affairs said that there was no specific evidence of involvement of Jamaat and its affiliates in any kind of terrorist activities. The Hasina government banned the party on August 1st, that is just 4 days before she was removed from power. Four more cases have been filed against Bangladesh's former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina and her former cabinet members and aides, taking the total number of cases filed against her to 75. 3 of the cases were filed with Dhaka courts on Tuesday, while another murder case was filed in Bogura earlier. With these, the 76-year-old Hasina is now facing 63 cases of murders, 7 cases of crimes against humanity, 3 cases of abduction, and 2 cases on other charges. Republican vice presidential contestant J.D. Vance once again slammed his opponent Tim Walz and Vice President Kamala Harris. While addressing a rally in Pennsylvania, Vance criticized Walz for lying on his military record. He also blamed Harris for her role during the withdrawal of U.S. troops from Afghanistan. Not only that, Vance also defended Republican nominee Donald Trump's camp after the former president's entourage reportedly shoved an official in Arlington earlier this week. Vance blamed the media for turning it into a national news story. Former U.S. President Donald Trump is once again embroiled in a controversy. Earlier this week, Trump was invited to the Arlington National Cemetery to pay homage to the 13 U.S. soldiers who died in the suicide attacks and in Kabul in 2021. And according to reports, an official of the Arlington Cemetery tried to stop Trump's aides from shooting the burial sites of those died and is also clearly prohibited. In response, Trump's staff resorted to shoving and verbally abusing the official.
Order! Out!
Democratic presidential contestant Kamala Harris and her running mate Tim Walz took a bus tour to campaign in the state of Georgia. Both Harris and Walz addressed high school students at Liberty County on Wednesday. The bus tour is set to conclude with a rally at Sabana on Thursday. Notably, the Democrats won the 2020 elections in the state of Georgia by the narrowest of margins. Georgia State Election Board has adopted a new rule that allows officials to refuse to certify an election. What this means is that some local election boards can choose to not officiate the results after voting, and the immediate after effect would be a delay in finalizing the poll results. The state and National Democratic parties have sued the state board for this. They're arguing that the rules violate an existing law that makes certification a compulsory duty and not a choice. Democrats further accuse the body of exceeding its legal authority. Georgia State Election Board is now dominated by allies of Trump, and those in support are arguing that county election boards is just fulfilling its duty. UBS Group downgrades its forecast for China's growth for this year and the next. The investment bank cites deeper than expected property market slump that's yet to see a bottom, with China's economic momentum subdued since March and tight fiscal policy stance. The bank now expects an accumulative GDP to expand 4.6% in 2024, and which is down from an early estimate of 4.9%. For next year, UBS sees growth at 4%, down from 4.6% previously. And despite China easing its policy since the end of 2022, including reduced down payment requirements, lower mortgage rates and fewer restrictions on home purchases, the implementation of the measures has been low with limited impact, according to the UBS Group. Brazil's top judge threatened to block Elon Musks X if the social media platform does not appoint a legal representative in the country within a span of 24 hours. This is the latest in the escalating tensions between the billionaire and Latin America's largest economy. The order came days after the platform vowed to close its operations in Brazil while keeping the service available to its estimated 20 million active users in the country. Brazil's Supreme Court has issued a plethora of rulings suspending social media accounts since thousands of supporters of ex-President Jair Bolsonaro broke into major government buildings in 2023. Japanese investors are set to buy the largest amount of foreign bonds in 17 years. Prospects for overseas monetary policy spur a rally in debt and a drop in currency hedging costs. Fund managers in the Asian nation bought the securities for a fourth straight week, that is through August 23rd. At this pace, monthly purchases would touch $47.3 billion in August. This is the most since buying reached a record in September 2007. Meanwhile, global debt has gained almost 3% this month, adding to a similar return posted in July. The Indian state of Gujarat is grappling with severe floods amid continuous heavy rain. While rescue operations and evacuations are underway, the death toll continues to rise. At least 15 people have lost their lives in rain-related accidents in the last 3 days. On Wednesday, the Saurashtra region received between 50 millimeters and 200 millimeters of rain in a 12-hour period. 6 contingents of the army have been deployed to assist and help the NDRF and SDRF teams for rescue and relief work in the state. Tens of thousands of people have been evacuated from the flood-affected areas. The Weather Department has issued a red alert for several parts of the state. Typhoon Ione slammed into Japan's main southern island of Kyushu earlier today. It is now moving slowly northward off the southwest coast of Japan. Officials are advising thousands of people to evacuate and have issued the highest warning level for wind and storm surges. The Weather Office said that Japan's most powerful typhoon this year made landfall at around 8 a.m. local time, packing gusts of up to 252 kilometers per hour. Japan Airlines cancelled 172 domestic flights and 6 international flights, which were scheduled for Wednesday and Thursday. While all Nippon Airways cancelled 219 domestic flights and 4 international ones on Wednesday. The cancellations affected around 25,000 people. Meanwhile, auto giant Toyota has suspended production at all 14 of its factories in Japan. California legislators have approved a contentious AI safety bill, moving it closer to becoming a law. The bill, SB 1047, requires one final vote before reaching California Governor Gavin Newsom, who has until September 30th to either sign or veto it. Tech companies working on generative AI, they have largely opposed the bill, arguing that it could stifle innovation and push AI businesses out of California. On the other hand, supporters like tech titan Elon Musk, who also leads AI firm X, he has backed the bill. The legislation would require safety testing for advanced AI models that cost over $100 million or need substantial computing power. It also mandates that all AI manufacturers create a kill switch to shut down the AI if it becomes dangerous. Additionally, the bill grants the state attorney general the authority to sue non-compliant developers, especially if AI poses a major threat, such as taking control of critical infrastructure like the power grid. A U.S. appeals court has reopened a lawsuit against TikTok by the mother of a 10-year-old, Nyla Anderson, who died after trying the blackout challenge. The viral challenge encouraged users to choke themselves until they pass out. Usually, the Communications Decency Act protects internet companies from being sued over user content. But the Philadelphia 3rd U.S. Circuit Court has ruled that this law does not stop the mother from suing TikTok. For its algorithm suggested the challenge to her daughter, this ruling breaks from past interpretations of the law, especially after recent Supreme Court decision which said that algorithms reflect a company's own speech. As a result, the court overturned the previous dismissal of the case, allowing the mother to continue her lawsuit against TikTok and its parent company, ByteDance. According to a survey conducted by Bitkom, Germany's largest digital technology industry association, cybercrime and other acts of sabotage cost German companies around $298 billion in 2023. Researchers interviewed over 1,000 German companies from all sectors for the survey. It was found that around 90% of the companies expect more cyber attacks in the next 12 months, with the remaining 10% expecting the same level of attacks. Around 70% of the companies that were targeted attributed the attacks to organized crime. Most companies reported data theft, including consumer data, access data, and passwords, as well as intellectual property such as patents. While 45% companies believe China to be behind the cyber attacks, Russia came in close at 39%. The Paralympics Games are underway after a spectacular 4-hour-long opening ceremony in the heart of Paris. Thousands of athletes paraded down the famed Champs-Élysées to Place de la Concorde, where French President Emmanuel Macron officially declared the Games open. The opening ceremony was held outside the confines of a stadium, just like for the Paris Games on July 26th. Fighter planes flew overhead, leaving red, white and blue vapors in the colors of the French national flag. 5 French para-athletes lit the cauldron before the ceremony ended with fireworks.